Each and every one of us in this body, in this life, is suffering. And in this embodiment or in this life, our overarching goal should be to try to reduce or hopefully eliminate all of our suffering. In this video, I'm going to give you an idea of the root cause of all of our suffering and 3 very easy, very approachable ways to help alleviate that suffering. Hey everybody, I'm Bruce from rootsoflife.org, and I'm so happy that you're back and joining me for this video. And in it, we're gonna attack and approach a really important subject, right? A really pivotal subject for each and every one of us, which is the very nature of our suffering. Obviously, nobody wants to suffer. I don't, at least, and I'm sure you don't either. We don't want to hold on to our baggage. We want to try to let go. We want to understand that baggage so indeed we can let go of it. And there's one very key component to our baggage, to our suffering, to that which we hold on to. There's one key aspect in all of our lives that when light is shown on it properly, and when we discover it, I think we're going to be able to move that much quicker into the release of our own suffering. And that fundamental concept is belief. Belief all resides here in the mind, right? And so, for instance, if we recognize that belief is the vessel or the container for all of our suffering, well, then we really quickly have a choice. We have a choice to dwell in the world of belief, right? Spinning our tires needlessly and endlessly through the mud of our own suffering, or we can start to move over to, hopefully, the cultivation of a mind that starts to let go of belief. So why is it that belief is the vessel of our suffering? Well, for instance, right now you're watching this video, right? So your belief is probably on the back burner somewhere. The belief of your life, of your suffering, of your story, of everything you're carrying forward. Hopefully you're just right now paying attention to this video, right? And so all of those things have been put aside. But when they return, as they inevitably do, as they do for all of us, how are those sufferings and those memories and those, kind of bumps on your own journey being pulled forward into your life? It's with belief. We tell ourselves stories over and over again. We dive back into the past. We remember how somebody is perceived to have wronged us, or how we got dealt this hand in life or that hand or whatever. But right now, right here, in this moment, you're simply watching this video. You're simply listening to me talk about the idea of belief, right? To put this into a more concrete, perhaps approach or discussion, we can frame the idea of belief in something that you and I and everybody on this planet does literally every single day. We sleep. And when we sleep, the majority, if not all of our belief, is put aside, right? When you're dead asleep and there's no understanding of who Bruce is or who you are, all of that is just put aside. And notice what happens when we sleep and we let go of belief. We heal, we rest, we restore, we hopefully wake up feeling refreshed, right? So if we recognize that we can do this literally every single day, then the question becomes, what is it in our waking life that is helping to cultivate an existence within belief, right? It's the stories we tell ourselves. It's the chatter in our mind, right, that we have to address. We have to go into that. And, for Reiki practitioners and holistic wellness practitioners, we see this all the time. Now, give an example here how belief within our practice cultivates, full stop, suffering. And, this is something I've been working on for a long time. It's something that's really helped my practice of Reiki and meditation and, yoga and other mindful practices to really flourish. And so I would challenge all of you to, take what I'm going to say here and bring it into your own practice, right? And if you have a thought that runs contrary to what I'm about to tell you, please let me know in the comments below, because of course I'm always open to having conversations and continuing to learn about my own practice. But let's go back to the idea here then of how belief creates suffering within our practice. If we look at Reiki as a healing modality, right? Well, we have two ways that we can hold space for either ourselves or for others. We can either hold space with the mindset of belief or from the mindset of no mind, right? From the lack of a mindset, from simply flowing with the session. Now, look, when I started out on my Reiki practice and with my career, I was stuck in belief, right? I was doing things, I was giving people advice, I was acting like I was channeling things, and probably indeed I was, believing that, we could move energy, open chakras, balance energy, heal people, drain their energy, drain my energy, balance everything in the universe, work with the symbols, and so on. Such an active mind with all of those thoughts running through your head during a session, right? Even if you think that your mind is still, right? Even if we feel, wow, that tranquility of that space of Reiki, we feel so calm and relaxed, but our mind is anything but. It's moving from channeling this and balancing that and using this symbol and chanting this precept and whatever it might be over and over and over again. And that's just for us, right? Add on top of that the next layer of this, and I'm sure this is going to resonate with so many of you. I feel this in my client, so I moved that and I opened this and I balanced that and I did this and I pulled this and whatever it might be, psychic surgery, channeling angels, connecting to their lineage, connecting to their higher self, to their past lives, and so on and so forth. So much busyness in the mind. There's so much busyness in the mind with all of that stuff. And you know what happened? I was doing that and I got absolutely exhausted. Full stop. I would have 2 or 3 sessions at the beginning of my career where I was fully engaged because I thought that's what I needed to do, right? Fully active in my mind. My body was quiet. Not my mind. And so I was engaged nonstop like this all the time. And I was so drained at the end of sessions because I'm not actually practicing Reiki. Reiki is surrendering into the universe. It's letting go of all resistance. We hear this all the time, to become a conduit of energy, to let it flow through the body, right? It can't flow through the body if our mind is stuck in belief. If it's active, if it's interpreting anything, right? And that's not just in the Reiki space, right? Think about yoga. If we're practicing our asana and we are moving with the flow, but we're focused on, I can do this pose or this asana perfect, you're just controlling your body. You're not practicing yoga. Let go. I know for some people it's super difficult, right? It's difficult for me. It's difficult for everybody, but that's still the goal. If you're reading cards, you're drawing tarot cards for people, we're still actively engaged in interpreting what that card means. Unless the card is pulled and it's just shown to the person and it's, what do you think about that? Let go, right? Let them interpret it. If we are doing meditation circles or shamanic journeys or voyaging with clients, right? Hold space. Interpreting our journey or their journey is a busy mind. And in that busyness, we will continue to suffer because we're active and we're attaching, right? So how do we work with that then? How do we work with it? How do we let it go? What do we do? These are the things that helped me, okay? These are the things that helped me. The first tip, and I think this is absolutely critical, the first tip is bring your entire practice inward, inside, right? Reiki practice. You're working with a client on the table, your focus is inside. Here always, not there, always here. Not on what I'm feeling from the client, or I'm going to move this or open that or balance this. Here, inside the body. You're practicing yoga, you're a yoga teacher, or you're going just to a normal class because you like to relax. Focus here. It's not about how beautiful you look externally. It's about how quiet you are internally. It's not about how perfect you hold the pose. It's about how quiet you are inside, right? So if we constantly work to bring the practice into the body, then we can move on to point number 2, right? The internal journey or the internal gaze helps you to identify your own resistances, where you are blocked, where you are suffering, where you are struggling, right? So when we turn that gaze in for step 1, step 2 is to recognize where our resistance is. And let me give you an example here how this works for me. And I don't want it to make it sound like I just sit down and I'm boom, like there's no chatter in my mind. I so wish that was the case. It's not the case, okay? What happens with me is, and I'm sure this is going to resonate, is my mind starts to get busy on a pain here or a belief there or a memory there. And I start to get trapped in the idea of working with it. Like, oh, if I just let my body move, or if I place my hands there, or if I do these types of things, then that pain or whatever it is that's trying to work itself out will be able to work itself out. But there's a problem because you see, I'm stuck in belief. I'm attaching to the story, right? And so for step number 2 to work, we have to catch ourselves in the moment of belief and let go. So right in the middle of your pain, of your darkness, of your suffering, of your negative story, your trauma, whatever it is, whatever's coming up in your body during your session, during your yoga, during your meditation, your shamanic journey, your Reiki practice, whatever it might be, even if you're working with a client, when stuff comes up, recognize it and return to stillness. And let me give an example as to how that works. And this is going to be point number 3, right? See, if we work with point number 1 to go in, and with point number 2, we recognize resistance, well, point number 3 is stillness in the eye of the storm. So when we are sitting there and we are stuck in all of that turmoil, that pain, that anxiety, I know it all so well. I'm there all the time. It's just like my nightly practice, right? The trick is when we're in that space, to try to come back to stillness as quickly as we can, because here is the key. This is the key to letting go of all belief. This is the key, I think, to letting go of suffering and to letting go of our resistances, right? If you're in the storm of your story, you're facing yourself, you're feeling your pain, right? You're reliving maybe your traumas. You are perhaps connecting to past lives. You're actively engaging with clients, right? You're sitting there and you're moving all this stuff or doing whatever, right? All of that is belief. And so when we catch ourselves, we can actually move away from the storm and into the eye of a storm, right? Into the stillness around that turmoil. And that is the conduit that we talk about in Reiki, the stillness within the storm. You see, the storm is simply our energy trying to leave the body. And as it leaves the body, it's carrying with it our trauma. It's carrying with it our belief, our suffering, our pains, right? Our physical trauma, emotional trauma, past lives, whatever you want to talk about, right? And the same when we are working with a client. Let's say your hands are on the client and you are channeling or you're seeing or you're interpreting or whatever. It's still the energy moving out of your body. But because we attach belief to it, it's like we're pulling it back in. An example that I give to all of my students is this. Imagine that we are trying to release. We are always trying to release, right? We want to flow with energy, not hold on to it. And so as we release, it's as if there's these little balloons that come out of the body, right? Memories, traumas, whatever they might be. They're like a balloon. And that balloon has a long cord attached to the base of it. And the amazing thing about this kind of metaphor here is we can almost feel this. So I'm sure this is resonating here with a lot of you. We feel like this bubble coming out of the body. out of the heart, the throat, whatever it might be, right? Or out of the head as we channel or we're doing these things. We feel pressure in that area. And as we start to release that pressure or sit with it or be with it, then it's almost like we can feel a cord attaching to the body, right? And imagine that as literally a balloon of trauma leaving your body. Why would you want to grab onto that cord and pull it back in, right? That's belief. Belief is, oh my God, that balloon of trauma is leaving my body, but I still have a cord, so I'm still going to stay in the story, so I'm still going to pull it into my body and I'm going to put it right back where it was before it was trying to get out, right? Or we can let go of belief and let go of the cord and simply let the balloon detach and float away as it's meant to, right? So if we can do these things, imagine how quickly we can face and release our trauma. All suffering is belief, right? Like I was saying at the beginning of this video, you're still, hopefully, watching this video, right? You're still sitting here listening to what I'm saying. So all of those balloons of your own trauma, your own belief, and so on, they simply don't exist. So why is it that they come back? They come back because you're going to step back in to a mindset of belief. And as soon as you do that, the balloons are back and we start attaching to them and pulling them back into the body, right? So catch yourself there. First point, turn inward. Second point, recognize resistance. Third point, become the eye of the storm. We do this over and over and over again. Literally any time that you notice bad behavior, trauma, fear, pains, anything that's coming up in the body, turn inward, recognize resistance, become the eye of the storm, right? Isn't it interesting how that discussion is literally the backbone of almost every mindfulness, meditative, and holistic health practice? Turn inward to the breath and just be with the breath. Not pulling the balloons back in, but being with the breath. The breath is the center of the body. So we can allow everything that we have inside of us to leave the body, right? This is the point. It's the key. Let go of belief. Full stop. In all practices. Let go, let go, let go. Don't believe you're a healer. Don't believe you're a yogi. Don't believe you're a meditation master or a shamanic master. Let go. And when we let go, we arrive on the other side.